Hey, what's up? Okay, so I'm a bit late with this video, and the reason is because I went away to Tasmania for a week for a friend's birthday. So I made a mistake last time I was working on a business, which was not going away to travel enough. For this one, I want to make sure that I still have time to, live my life separate to the business. So I went away, and that's why I didn't upload it in the fortnight. So where am I at? My computer actually died, so really, really frustrating, but the SSD failed, and if you know anything about computers, it's not very common for an SSD to fail, but mine managed to fail. So as soon as it happened, I didn't start wallowing and regretting my misfortune, but I immediately started contacting people I knew that were good with computers, and I got someone in, and he pretty much took charge, figured out how to fix it, and my computer's working again. And I didn't lose anything important because I was storing it externally on an external hard drive. So I definitely recommend, if you're into editing or you want to get into some kind of creative process on the computer, definitely back up your stuff. I don't know what I would have done if I lost all those interviews that I did. So I'm actually even going to be getting a backup hard drive, backup hard drive, I guess. So I'll have two 16 terabyte external hard drives, and so now my computer's working. I had to re-download all my programs, set up my workstation again, which was boring more than anything, but I'm back in business, which is good. So one thing that I wanted to talk about just briefly in this video was this thing that I learned in a series of books that I read on habits and forming habits. So one of these books was by Charles Duhigg. It's a book called The Power of Habit, and the other one is by James Clear, and it's called Atomic Habits. And Clear, I think from memory, references something in Duhigg's book, which is about visually representing your progress in some way. So it can be a bit disheartening when you're in the middle of working towards a pretty big goal and you can't really visualize the progress that you're making. So what I decided to do was to get 3 jars, and in those jars I have marbles. Sorry, I'm just recovering from a little bit of a sickness, so if I sound a bit nasally, that's definitely why. So 3 jars, and for the first jar these are what the jars look like, by the way. So this one has 16 marbles in it, and essentially what I do is every time I do an interview, so this jar specifically is for mini interviews, I get the speaker that's at the interview to add a marble into the jar. It's kind of like a fun way that they can get involved in the progress of the business, as well as help me keep track of the progress that I'm making. So that's the first jar. The second jar is full-length interviews. So these are interviews that go on for a bit longer, probably twice the length, and I've only done 5 of those. So I actually did one yesterday. So I interviewed my former employer, Penny. So she worked at a secondhand bookstore, and she had some really interesting stories, and I really enjoyed that interview. And if you're interested in learning more about her, definitely check out the full edit once it's uploaded. So I've done 5 of those, and the last jar I have is it's a little bit depressing. It's an empty jar, and that's for paid interviews. So nobody has as of yet paid for this service, but I've set myself a goal to get 5 paid interviews by the end of the year, and that could be anything from a symbolic $50 to a few $100s, depending on the person, I guess, and what they can afford. So that's how I kind of keep track of progress, and I would recommend anyone that's interested in developing positive habits to read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, which is definitely my go-to recommendation for self-development. It's because it's 90% practical advice and 10% stories. A lot of books in this self-help space are just long form articles. They're just a story about something happening, and then you have to kind of apply meaning, or there's not really a lot of practical things there's not always much practical advice in these stories, just interesting case studies, I guess. So I even have one of his quotes up on the wall. So to help lift the, I guess, lift the mood in the room and kind of keep myself going and working towards my goal, I added 3 quotes up on the wall. So I'll read some of them out to you. The first one is by James Clear from his book. I'm paraphrasing him a bit here, but it goes, "Every decision you make, no matter how small, is a vote cast towards the person you want to become. When your day ends, ask yourself how many votes you cast." Now, the reason I really like this quote is because it just reminds you that, making big steps in life, it's not like you're going to reach this point, like this culminating event where you're like, I have to make this decision here, and then from this point, my life is just going to be better. That doesn't really happen. You don't like make this huge decision to walk into the gym and then you walk out of the gym and you're suddenly fit. It's a series of really, really small decisions of like getting up early when it's super cold and you've got no motivation, but just going anyway, and then feeling grateful after you come back and think, yeah, I did it. That's the kind of person I want to become. So I like viewing all these really small decisions that I make as little votes. Is this a vote towards the person I want to become? Yes, I'm definitely going to do it. No, probably not going to do that. And it kind of makes life a little bit easier. You don't have to view every situation as figuring, like, you don't have to break down every situation. It eventually becomes, is this the person I want to be? No, okay, don't do it. Is this the person I want to be? Yes, it may be hard, but do it anyway, because in the long term, you'll be thankful for it. So that's one of the quotes. I have another one, which is from a fictional book that I really liked. The quote goes, "Making money isn't hard in itself. What's hard is making money doing something worth devoting your life to." Now, that quote really resonates with me because when I was in university, everyone around me was priming for a career at one of the big 4 accounting consulting firms, EY, Deloitte, I kind of blanking on the other ones, but yeah, that's how little interest I had in them. And I don't know, I could have easily gone down that path, because it was like signposted at university, like you just do an internship and then get some industry experience and then get into this really junior role as a shit kicker and then spend 3 years there and move your way up to some assistant. I could have done that and I could have made some money doing that, but I don't know, I wouldn't have been fulfilled. I felt like I would have just been a cog in the machine in a way. I wanted to spend my life doing something that was meaningful, and as the quote says, something worth devoting your life to. And I'd like to think that what I'm working on now is definitely worth devoting my life to, creating a platform for stories. Because right now there isn't a single platform just for stories, for human beings. There's lots of small websites that have very specific stories about specific people that have been through certain events, but not really just for any everyday person to just sit down, tell a story that is important to them, and then share it on a platform where other people can engage with it and listen and learn from. So that quote's really important to me, and it just reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I work challenging jobs that sometimes make me question my career path, just so I can keep this business moving forward. So I have the one last quote I have. I'm not going to tell you who this quote is by. I want to see if anyone can figure it out. It's, "To cultivate success, you must focus on discipline, or your ability to persevere when motivation disappears." Now, this quote is probably one of the most important ones that I kind of structure my life on in a way. I don't like the word motivation. I think it should be blacklisted for anyone that's working towards a challenging goal, because motivation is inherently fleeting. You know, the whole concept, it's something that comes and goes with the wind. You might wake up one day motivated, and then the next day you're back to where you were, and you don't have any desire to work towards that goal you'd set. And I think that's it's a pretty dangerous thing to rely on. And you're like, when I hear people say, I'm just not motivated today, I'm like, well, yeah, most people aren't motivated every day. So to actually get towards the goal you want, it's about persevering and relying on the discipline to actually, I guess, objectively know that to get to where you want to be, you need to make decisions that maybe don't feel the best because you're not motivated, but you know that they're decisions that'll get you closer to where you want to be. And that's how I view most of the decisions that I make, with health, with my diet, with the business, with my personal relationships. You know, you may not always be motivated to reach out to a friend, but it's a very strange example, but you know, you do it because friends are long term, and if you really care for them, you'll do it because you know it's right, not because you have the motivation to do it. So that quote's really important, and yeah, if anyone can find where I got that quote from, I'll be impressed. What else have we got? So I have done 16 mini compilation interviews. So with this project, I'm trying to create some marketing material that can be, I guess, disseminated on different platforms that people can watch, and then at the very end there'll be a little promo for the archive. So I've done 16 of those interviews, and I have 4 more. I have 3 booked in and 1 booking that I'm arranging as we speak. So once those are done, I'm pretty much going to have over a year's worth of content if I was to make a video every week. So there are 70 questions, and each of those 70 questions could be a video in itself. And only 4 more to go, and then I'll have probably a month and a half of editing and slogging it away on the computer, creating these videos. So, but I'm actually looking forward to it because I think they could be pretty entertaining. Because yeah, some of the responses are quite surprising. A number of them are quite believable and won't surprise many people, but it's still really, really interesting listening to other people's perspectives. It kind of reminds you how similar we all are, just that our circumstances can be different at times. So that's where I'm at the moment. In 2 weeks' time, I should be done all of them, and I should be in the process of editing. I've also have the second full interview lined up with the Holocaust survivor, which is an absolute privilege. So I am in the process of drafting questions for that interview, which I think is going to be pretty important to have on the platform. So that's currently where I'm at, and I look forward to seeing where I'm at in 2 weeks' time. Anyway, you keep doing you, keep working on that project or that goal, even when you don't want to, because you'll thank yourself when you get there. And yeah, persevere when it's hard. That's gonna be what separates you from the people that give up. Just focus on discipline, not motivation. Anyway, in the next video, I might talk about sleep and the importance of sleep, because I think that's something that gets neglected quite a lot in startups, starting a business and working towards a goal. So yeah, stay tuned for that if you struggle to sleep. Okay, bye.